to,
Okay.
I don't have your bio in front of me. So how do you say your last name? Rousseau?
Roussel.
Rousseau. Is
Yeah.
it French?
It is French, but it was a married name French.
Okay. So you're not
mine.
French.
It was, one of those acquired names.
That's the coolest part of that marriage.
Well, it's a no longer marriage, but it was.
Same here.
Yeah.
But Phillips is my non-married name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to introduce you as Purrrfectly Holistic, and you do muscle testing, you do consultations for cat lovers. Are you primarily cats?
Yeah, but I have quite a few dog clients too.
Cool.
Because people with cats have dogs and they're like, can you do this on my dog? I'm like, I can test anything. Just give me a body, give me a warm body. I can test anything,
Yeah, exactly. I've even done trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that lives, you can muscle test pretty much. I've tried spiders and stuff. They're not very nice about it. At least my experience.
Can't say I'm a fan of spiders either, so
It's funny because the information was right. Well, okay. So I have to say that and I'm sure you do this too, the more you muscle test, the more intuitive you seem to get.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and let me pull up. My dog's of course playing now. And let me make sure Facebook is keyed up before we get started. Oh, and I didn't drop the link, the group link, if people want to join.
Perfect.
Right, you guys, we are live. I am so excited to have Pam Roussel. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Purrrfectly Holistic, and it's Purrrfectly Holistic. She is a cat expert. She does muscle testing and once you muscle test, Pam, do you implement like a wellness protocol? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, first I use it to identify stressors and imbalances in the body. And then I can go through and figure out, okay, what do we need to do to support the body? What tools do we need? And, find protocols, find products, things like that. And I also do energy work to clear that outer layer of stress so that then the body can kind of relax and start the healing process.
Now you have an amazing cat platform. You have a lot of YouTube, I don't know if you have a lot of YouTube videos, but you have a few out there. It looks like you always partner with the two crazy cat ladies, which we love.
We do.
I feel bad that they lost their like senior cat. I saw that.
Yeah, Bear, he was my favorite.
Oh,
I know. That was a shock.
I'm so sorry about that.
I know.
So sad. How old was he?
He was only 12.
Oh no, that's not good. I mean, when they live a long, full life and it's, the winter of their life, it's kind of expected, but not at 12.
No, this was totally unexpected. No warning signs at all. So
I'm sorry. Well, it's so exciting to have a fellow muscle tester on board, and I don't get to talk with a lot of other muscle testers. I have a pretty unique process that I've developed throughout the years, because I noticed anytime something slipped through the gaps, I'd have to like go back to the drawing board and figure out why it might have slipped through. Do you have that experience too?
Sometimes, yes. Like when I'm going through an evaluation, I have an extensive checklist that I'm going through. And if I am going too fast, or if I don't give it time, like I use a pendulum a lot, because if you did it for hours with your fingers, your hand would be tired in 5 minutes. So, sometimes if you go too fast and I don't give it time to answer, then I may miss a yes, and so when I hit something else that ties to that, it's like a trigger, like, okay, wait a minute, let me go back and test glands again because something is off. You know what I mean? And like, thymus, yes, we have, so then it starts to paint a picture, based on what's resonating. It starts to give you an understanding of where the dots are connecting, and it paints a picture of an overall, situation going on, depending on.
Yeah, so muscle testing kind of leaves clues, even if it doesn't hit the right thing. I mean, it's interesting because, gosh, I've been muscle testing since probably 1998. A long time, and I was mentored by a nuclear medicine individual who was actually a biochemist and a microbiologist who made drugs for drug companies, and it bothered him so much. And a experiment invited him to try this muscle testing experimentation, be one of several people, and he was so blown away by it. He walked away from his day job, quit being a medical researcher. He has published medical research online, like you can find his stuff. And he walked away from it to do muscle testing underground. And so he mentored me mostly on humans, and then I converted it to animals. So I too have this like pathogens and toxins, deficiencies, and you go through the whole gamut, but you still have to know about the animal. I don't know that much about cats. I call them cat scans whenever I scan a cat. I love doing that. And so I need to know more about cats, Pam, and that's why I brought you in. Like most everybody in the memberships, horse and dog owners that own cats, but they might not just be passionate cat lovers. And and I caught a video of yours for, I think it was a New Year's thing or something, and you were saying the things that you could do to improve your relationship with cats or just deepen your bond. And one of them was just playing with your cat for 10 or 15 minutes. And I got all teary-eyed. I was so convicted about my own cat. I have this darling little barn cat who is mightier than mighty, but she's tiny. She was pulled off her mom at a really young age, and probably didn't get the milk that she needed. And believe it or not, she's like 2.5 now, and she's grown quite a bit on good nutrition. But man, she kills something every day. Like she's out there doing her job every day. And then she comes in every night and has her own bedroom. Like she doesn't want to sleep with me. She doesn't, the dog sleeps with me. She sleeps in her bedroom, and that's about it. She's got a routine, and we're not very social with each other. So I spent 10 minutes last night playing with her, playing a little string, and she was just all cuddly after that. And I felt like a schmuck.
It was like bonding time. I call it bonding time.
Yeah. So go into like all the things we can do to improve our cat relationships, our cat bonds.
Well, environmental enrichment is obviously big, especially if you have an indoor cat. Like some people will have indoor outdoor kitties so they can have that environmental stimulation, and that's real important because we've brought cats in who used to be wild, and they have that wildness still in their genetic code, and we've domesticated them to some degree. And we put them in a house, and they don't have access to the fresh outdoor, to the fresh air and outdoors, and doing all the cat things that cats do in nature, in the wild. They hunt, they stalk, they watch birds, they listen to sounds. They're stimulated by their environment, and if we just have 4 walls and windows closed all day, they're bored. And then some cats can be very destructive and start to cause trouble because they're basically bored, or they sleep all day because they're bored. So I think just tapping into who they are as that little panther inside of them, because they're genetically what is it, 98% a match to cats in the wild. So we have to honor that biology. So giving them opportunities to play and hunt and stalk and catch, whether it's, wand toys or letting them go outside. If you have a cat that does go outside, just watch them someday and watch how they observe their world. Look at how they engage when they're hunting something outside and just watch. I am so in awe of just watching how they move and how they act. It's so cool. They're such amazing little creatures. If you have an indoor cat that you think might be more adventurous, you can try harness training them and putting them, in a safe environment and putting them in a little harness and let them go outside with you and explore and smell. Like I love, I was watching Inside Scoop probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then they talked about letting your dogs go on safari's, and I'm like, oh, brilliant, I can do that with the cats. So I did. I just created, got some treats and I put it inside a, goodness, I think I have it right here. Yes, I was cutting up one of those wrapping paper rolls at Christmas time, and I just cut it. You can take a toilet paper roll, and I stuck some cat treats inside, and I stuck some tissue paper in the end, and I just sat it down on the ground, and one of my cats just kind of looked at it for a second, and then she's kind of sniffing like, I can smell something in there. And just to see her eyes get like real excited. And she started, when she realized that her favorite treat was inside, it was just so fun to see her start to pull that tissue paper out and shred it and go right for the treat. And she was just so proud of herself. And I thought, you know what, they need just as much sniffari opportunities as dogs.
I might love that.
Yeah,
I totally love that. It's like a kitty.
Simple.
It's a kitty Kong.
Yeah.
You're making your own kitty Kongs.
I mean, toilet paper roll, paper towel roll. I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. We just have to think like cats, observe your cat, look how they interact, look how they like to play, know what turns them on, what gets them excited, is their favorite treat, is it putting on the TV with the bird, YouTube channels, the cat TV, whatever it is. Like I have a window here in front of my computer, and there's a hedge in front of me outside, and there are wrens that go in and out of the hedge all day long, and they're flying out, and I've got a bird feeder out front, and some of my cats, especially the younger one, she likes to sit on my desk every morning and she hunts. She'll sit here, and I have the window cracked so she can hear them, and she watches and watches and watches, and she just like tries to pounce, and she can't get them because the window, but she is so stimulated by that, and it's the cutest thing to watch them. And when she sees like a bunny or a squirrel outside, she gets real interested, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get that bunny, he's in my yard. I mean, it's cat TV. We have to entertain them, they're wired like that.
It's so hard. Like I do have cat people that call me for sessions, or like you said, you have cat people with dogs, and then cat people hire you, and then they're like, well, I have a dog. Can you help me with my dog? And I kind of have the same thing happen. And I don't actually know who to send people to, and I don't know that much about cats. So I'm really excited to meet you. Gina is saying she needs to improve her cat relationships with her 2 cats. So this is super cool. It breaks my heart for people that can't let their cats out. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you're thinking outside of the box to keep these cats engaged and stimulated and bring out their natural instincts, because it's got to be frustrating. Like we were talking a little bit about iridology, and most cats have these incredible stress lines on their eyes, and I think because they're so coveted and they're so contained that they do hit depression and they do sleep a lot.
Yeah. Before I moved here, my cats had never gone outside except with a harness and they were tethered. And my little one really hated that because she liked the freedom of not feeling like she's dragging a 25-foot lead. But I wanted to give them some stimulation. So here we have a backyard fence and they've never seen a fence. They don't know what a fence is. We have a tree. They don't climb anything. They just like to go sit in the flower beds and watch the birds and watch the bunnies and look at the bunny holes because she knows there's going to be a bunny coming through there. It's just, it's just so fun, and they're safe, they're happy, and then they'll go out for a little bit and they'll come back in. So, but long story short, they're mostly indoor cats, but it's cool that I can give them that opportunity and know that they're fine. And they didn't have that opportunity without a harness before. So that's been really, really fun. But, depending on the age of the cat, I think if they're kittens, obviously they got a ton more energy and there's always play. It's like sleep, play, constantly. Your older cats, you might have to just get a little bit more creative and just get them moving a little bit. They're not going to want to jump and, especially your older ones, they may not have the same energy level or mobility, as younger ones do, but you just have to be creative. I think it's very similar to dogs. You just have to match their activity to their age and what's appropriate for their health conditions and, work accordingly, but just be creative.
Right. And, I know some cats that have lived well into their 20s. I mean, they can live a really long time. I don't know about house cats, but I know barn cats that have.
Yeah.
Like they just keep going as long as they're in a safe environment and there's like no coyote.
Well, that's it. And, just like with the dogs, if you keep their environmental toxic exposure minimum to none as best you can and detox those pathways, on a regular basis and feed them species appropriate diet and give them appropriate exercise and stimulation, they can live a very long time. Now, sometimes there are genetic factors that come into play. But we just do the best we can. But when you give them all the best tools, they can definitely live a long time.
One of the things I see so common in cat owners is they don't do any maintenance.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, I got a cat. I pour it food. I give it water. I might change the bowl like once a week and clean out the cat litter box. And it's just, people think cats are low maintenance and it's just so wrong.
It's true. And it's so funny you say that because I've had clients that are like the dog people. And they feed, the raw diet and the best stuff. And I'm like, well, what do you feed your cat? Oh, dry kibble. I'm like, why? You got it right for the dog. What happened? There was like this disconnect between cat and dog. It's like, no. Do that for her,
Well, and I feel like cat cancer is so much lower than dog cancer. And it's so strange to me because I guess not, because we don't do the flea and tick meds and we don't do the vaccines so much with cats. Like we're not doing all that dog stuff other than spay and neuter cats.
And I think, and on that same note, I know a lot of cat parents don't like to take their cat to the vet because it stresses them out so badly. So they don't have the exposure to, oh, guess what? In our records, it says that Fluffy's due for her vaccines, because therefore they don't get as many for sure. But then some people who are very good about the regular stuff, they get the notice in the mail and are like, oh, okay, I guess it's time to go in and do it again. I think people are starting to kind of clue in that, I don't know that resonates with me,
Right. I mean, if your cat's living in your house and never getting exposed to diseases,
right,
why would you do
right.
that?
Right. No, I think more people are starting to kind of wake up to that effect. And when you come to that realization, it's like, why am I doing this? That's what happened to me eons ago when I finally got tired of looking at my cats being so sick and puny for 24 to 48 hours after a vaccine. I'm like, why am I doing that? I
Mm.
don't get vaccines every year. Why are they getting vaccines every year? It was just one of those aha moments. And then that was like my hard cutoff. I'm like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And then, and then you start reading stuff that reinforce your decisions, like, okay, that was a good decision. Yes, according to, what this holistic vet says, he's like, that's spot on. We don't need to be doing this. And I'm like, oh, of course,
There's so little information about cats. Like there's so much information about dogs, but when it comes to cats, people do fall short and the research falls short. I don't
Yeah.
understand why, because there's a lot of cats in the world.
That's a really good point. And I was told that it's because cats just don't cooperate like dogs.
Mm.
They're just not going to be as happy-go-lucky to take a medication or do a trial. Dogs are so much more appeasing and agreeable and cooperative in situations like that. And you can't necessarily wrangle cats to do the same thing. I had a vet tell me years ago, yeah, it has to be their idea.
Yeah,
it has to be their idea.
it's true.
Right, because they're so independent creatures. They can think for themselves, and they're very smart, because when they don't need something anymore, like a supplement or a medication, that's when they start to put up a fight with you and go, not taking it, and spit it out, whatever it is. That's happened to me so many times with my own cats, and then it was like a clue there. And so I would go in a muscle test and see, like, no, you don't need it anymore. Okay, thank you for telling me. Dogs just kind of go along with it.
Yeah, it's well, and like you said, cats are smart, so if you do it once, good for you, but you're not going to do it twice.
Can't fool me twice.
Like it's a whip in a chair. Like, what are you going to do about this? So you have to be crazy creative with cats.
Yeah.
Because you still want to be their friends.
It's true.
And they hold a grudge. Like it, the emotional component to cats, it's so iffy. Like you're just like, do I stress them or do I not? Like you're always like weighing your odds, I think.
Yes, they are very emotional little creatures. And some are really forgiving very fast, and then some just have that, they just build that emotional, I'll call it baggage for lack of a better word, that they just hold on to those imprints, and they're programmed. It's like, no, you're not fooling me again. I know that look.
Yeah, it's so interesting because they can be totally unforgiving, and just like people in a way is, you have your kind, like old soul type cats that are just like chill and they know it's for the best, and you have a really trusting relationship. And then, you do a little something funny to another cat, maybe step on its tail by accident or something like that, and it's over. It's like totally over. And it's so frustrating. You're just trying to find a way to like regain their trust. And they're sassy about it. They're just like, no.
I think it goes back to the fact that they are predators, but they can also be prey. And so it's that survival skill, that's ingrained in their DNA. That's why they like to sit up in high places so they can look over their property, look over their home and
Their domain.
Their domain, exactly. Because they feel safe, they feel like they're in control, they can see everything that's going on. I think this part is part of what's wired into their DNA, honestly.
Gina asked, is there a good place to buy cat trees? What would you recommend for like a cat perch type thing?
I carry some in my store by Armor Cat that I love. Good quality stuff. I would make it tall so that your cat is more than 2 feet off the floor. Give them something to really climb, and then give them like the little hidey hole or the little cubbies if your cat is one that likes to burrow inside something or hide under the bed, look at that as part of that's their comfort zone. So if you get a cat tree, get one that has a little cubby in it so they can feel like, oh, this is my little house, and if I feel like I need to go in there just to kind of retreat and I'm safe, I'm in a dark little place and I can hide in here and I can still see out in my world. I think you just have to look at the personality of the cat,
Now, Pam, I know, like, my parents bought cat tree after cat tree after cat tree, and they never liked one single one, but they did come from Costco. So they probably smelled like, formaldehyde or something awful like that, made in China type crappy stuff. So are your cat trees different? Like, is there a cat tree that draws them in? Is there such a thing?
Well, like with some cats, you have to teach them that it's for them, and you can use like catnip spray. You can play again. There we go with our play. But like do your play sessions and do it on the cat tree so that they're having to climb up and they're having to jump and and get them used to working in those levels. It's almost like teaching them what food is. We have to teach them sometimes because it's something new. Now, some cats are just smart and you pull in a box from, doorbell rings, there's a box and you start to open it. They're like, for me. And they just know, and then others are just kind of sitting back on, what's she going over there? Not quite so sure. But use the play sessions, do the interactive wand toys with them, and the catnip or the valerian. Some cats don't respond to catnip, but they like valerian. So figure out what motivates them, or put the treats on the little cat trees. The other thing that you can do is, like, if they sleep on a favorite spot, a blanket, a pillow, or something like that, you can take like a shirt, whatever they're sleeping on, and rub it, because it has their scent on it. Rub it all over that cat tree and put their scent on it. But you can also do it with like a sock. We call scent swapping. So put a sock on your hand and just rub it all over their face where their pheromones are, and then rub that all over the new furniture.
Because I love that.
Their scent on it, and they're going to recognize, like, oh, that's me. That's me. And you also need to move your tree. If you put it in the corner forever, they're going to get tired of that. But if you move it and put it in a different place, it's like it's new again. And if you put it in front of a window where they have something to actually look out and, versus looking at a wall, you have to just be creative and be mindful of how you want them to use it.
That is so smart. I love that.
Cats are smart because they, it's so funny when you move a tree from one side of the room to the other and put it in a different place. They're like, oh, there's a cat tree over there. They're funny like that. Yeah.
So what do you feed your cats? I know it can be really hard to transition cats to raw. I've had some other barn cats. So I transitioned a barn cat to raw, and then it attracted predators. And so I was like, that didn't work. That was so unhealthy for them. So I had to like go more to a freeze dried or a little lesser. I tried not to do kibble. I think it's so harmful, but something a little more user friendly.
My cats are currently eating fetching foods, which is raw, but we have used small batch in the past. Over the past year, I took them off of all the canned food, and I'm totally onto the raw stuff now. When I learned how much of the Maillard reactions that are in processed canned foods, the byproducts of the ALEs and the AGEs are so high in canned foods. I'm like, okay, well, not going to use it. Not unless I absolutely have to, like a backup. It's not going to hurt from time to time if they're having one of their picky days or something like that. But if you're in a pinch, But no, typically they eat raw food with freeze-dried sprinkles on top and some bone broth mixed in and things like that. And their coats are just amazing, and their eyes look so good, and their skin looks so healthy. And I mean, it's unbelievable what the power of raw diets and really good nutrition do for a cat. I mean, you've seen it, dogs.
Yeah.
It's night and day.
Well, and it's interesting because I used to feed raw to this cat, I just call her Kitten because she's tiny. And and she did really well on it for a while, and then she didn't look great. And I couldn't figure out what to transition her to. I ended up sticking her on like some samples of kibble. Oh my gosh. Her iridology, her like eyes got so jacked up. She lost so much weight. She became half the size.
Oh
And
my.
then finally found Primal as a freeze dried, which I wouldn't have picked for her, but it muscle tested well. And it was a freeze dried that I could hydrate and give to her in rabbit and venison. And she loved it. She like fluffy hair coat and looking bouncy and happy on it. But then I tried the turkey. She hated the turkey. And and so then she got mad at me, and now she's suspicious. So
Oh,
I'm like, please, it's just rabbit again.
right. Does she also hunt like birds and bunnies and moles and stuff like that too?
Yeah, in fact, the birds know her. Like the minute she walks outside,
Or
they
like,
go, they either scream at her, like they just like I've seen them dive on her. All the wildlife knows who she is.
oh yeah.
It's so incredible to see her step outside, and either they be quiet and they hush up, like all the tweeting birds suddenly go shh, or they scold her. Like at night, last night, I was feeding the horses at like 11 o'clock at night. I do my last round, and she came down with me, and I actually heard a bird in the tree go, her.
She's out.
Heads up, she's here.
Morning.
Yeah, and Gina's asking what brand of freeze dried. She's doing great on Primal, which Primal has like quinoa and grains in it. I didn't want to do that, but she was doing really well on it, so I'm sticking to it until she fires at me on that. Yeah, or until she doesn't look good on it. But yes. Any other questions, you guys? There's a few people hanging out on the live stream. And you guys, if you want to hop on live, the Zoom link's in the chat, so you guys can jump in here and ask away.
Yeah.
So Pam, what's been your most difficult cat challenge?
Let me think about that.
I should have prepped you on that, but
no, it's okay. It's okay.
Cats are tricky because they are predators and they don't like to show pain and diseases until you're kind of in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, things have been going on in the body a long time before they actually surface and have a symptom. That's when we find out, because we see something. It really depends. Like there was a couple cats that I've worked with. I think one of the most challenging type of situations is the feline hyperesthesia symptoms. Are you familiar with those?
No, I mean, I am a little bit, but go ahead and go over them because
Okay. So that's where like their fur, they get ripples and they flick their legs, or they act real jumpy, or they just look uncomfortable. Some cats will like bite their feet or their tail. Basically they're responding to nerve irritation under the skin. So in the interstitium beneath the skin, there is a lot of histamine flowing in there with, responding to some kind of a toxin. It's typically a hyperimmune response of some kind to something, and it can be ongoing and chronic. But what happens is the body is releasing so much histamine, and there can be a sluggish liver, so it's all backed up and it's just sluggish, and so it starts to irritate the nerves underneath the skin. And I'm sure it feels like you're being like
Oh,
zapped, or um ding,
pricks or
ding, like
something.
zapped, and that's why all of a sudden they'll just jump out of a sound sleep, but like something attacked them, and I guess it can be very unnerving. It is not easy, even going through the whole detoxification process, once you figure out what the cause was, of getting those cats back in balance, because their immune system has been on fire, if you will, for so long. So it takes a while, and there can be ups and downs along the way. Just getting the lymphatic system running well and cleaning out all the toxins that are, whether that's heavy metals or flea and tick meds or vaccines and stuff like that. We got to clean it out. But some cats, their immune system is so wired with so much excess histamine, it can be a challenge to calm it down. And so I think in those kind of cases, from what I've seen, you just expect it to take twice as long. Wow. Because it's a process. There might have really good days, and then you pull out, like over the holidays, someone's cat was doing really good, and all of a sudden they just pulled out all their Christmas decorations, and all of a sudden the cat's starting to get symptomatic like crazy. And when I was testing, I was like, it's toxins from plastics, plastic Christmas trees, off-gassing, things like that, things that we don't even associate with being toxic in our environment. Our cats are the canary in the coal mine.
They're tiny.
Their bodies are small,
and they don't detox well, right? Cats do not detox well.
I think they can. I've had great success, but I think you just have to you have to understand that when you're going through that kind of a process, you might be going along really good, but when you all of a sudden assault the body, not intentionally, but they're exposed to more environmental toxins of some kind, their body is already kind of overwhelmed. And here you are throwing a whole nother dump load of chemicals in the air. And their body is trying to process that on top of what they're already trying to process. So I just think you have to be very patient, and you have to be hyper vigilant and understand, even the benign things that we think of, like Christmas decorations, pulling things out that have been in storage and plastic, they're giving off some kind of a chemical. Even things like flame retardants in cat beds, flame retardants in couches. You get a new rug, and all of a sudden your cat's like starting to itch and go. You have to start to learn how to connect the dots and go, what did we do differently? When did this start? What did we change? What did we bring into the house? And when you start to like put your detective hat on, you can figure it out, but you have to be open-minded to say, okay, that you have to just be really, really good at detective work. I have to call it detective work.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I call it that too, is you have to be a disease or a toxin detective, or even deficiencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they lick their fur. Dogs don't lick their fur like cats. So cats are more prone to picking up that junk. What about the microplastics in fish? Like, do you avoid fish for your cats? Because
because they're on raw, but if I'm gonna feed them any kind of seafood, it might be a treat, or like there's some brands that use human grade seafood in their cat foods, which I trust much more than just something that's not, of course. I'm not a huge fan of giving a lot of tuna, just because it tends to have more heavy metals and toxins and things like that. But small fish like herring and mackerel and sardines, great sources of omega-3s, and those fish are so small and they're so, low on the food chain that they don't really have the toxic buildup and chemicals and things like that a lot of stuff
So
does.
there was a brand new study that came out and they tested like 40 different species of fish and all of them had microplastics in them.
Wow, I guess the
Every
ocean
single
that
one.
toxic.
And
Mhm.
so that's going to be, a phytoestrogen or a
Yes,
xenoestrogen builder. And so
yes.
then if you do have a cat that's sensitive to plastics,
Mhm.
and why wouldn't you? Because plastic is toxic.
Right, right. And that's why I tell people it's important to do a chemical detox on your pets 2 or 3 times a year,
What
because
do
we
you
do.
do? What do you do for that? Do you use bentonite?
No, I have a really cool brand called Global Healing that has a product called Heavy Metal and Chemical Cleanse. And it's actually a liquid tincture and glycerin. It's made for people. Oh, here's one. Hi, honey. How are you? Do you want to come say hi? Maybe he'll make an appearance. Come here, Gun Gun.
Listen, I love doing cat things because
Here, sweet
they
boy.
always seem to
Say
make
hi.
like a little drive-by appearance.
Oh, this is Gunner. This is my oldest boy. He's 14.
Kind of sexy.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah. Anywho, this product, it's literally for a cat, it's like 1 drop a day for 6 weeks. And it eliminates and pulls out the chemical toxins in the body.
Is it a zeolite?
It's not a zeolite, but it has something else in it. I'm totally drawing a blank.
Like fulvic or humic acid?
Something similar to that. But I also use it in conjunction with the Ion Gut Support for Health for Pets by Intelligence of Nature.
Yes.
That's
We've had him on as guests.
They're awesome.
Well, not Zach.
Yeah. No, I love that stuff. So I just use them together because you've got the fulvic humic acid and you've got the chemical, heavy metal chemical cleanse detox, and it uses a lot of herbs and stuff in there that bind, like cilantro and some other stuff that just bind that. And so it's 1 drop. It's not like a pill. It's not a half a teaspoon of stuff. It's so much easier with these babies who, again, it has to be their idea.
Right. And you don't want to create like a
Yeah,
experience on them
yeah.
too. They're so sensitive.
I know, and you don't want them to become food averse, and so you don't want to overload their bowls with a bunch of supplements with their food if you can help it. So,
right. Do you use chlorella?
I have not personally. When I muscle test for the clients, I test on a scale of 1 to 100 for what is the most effective and beneficial. Chlorella tends to be about 50 to 60%.
So it's not the best.
It's not. I think you probably would have to use more and do it longer to really do a full, chemical detox part, when I can use less and do it less time and get a bigger bang for my buck.
No, and that totally makes sense because I think chlorella tastes horrible.
Not everybody.
And so that might be, I noticed in muscle testing, it considers the factor of whether they will eat it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is one of my biggest, my little tricks is to use baby food purees, the meat purees. Most cats love baby food meat purees, like Gerber chicken and gravy, ham and gravy, or a similar brand that's like that. Or now they make, so many brands have their own little squeeze up purees. Like,
oh yeah,
love the Fussy Cat puree. The consistency is so much better than everything else that I've tried, and she'll eat it. She turns her nose up to everything else. But those are great if you need to sneak in a wet, supplement or herb or something. Those are awesome. So cats tend to like that.
Now, what about dried herbs? Do you do dried herbs with your cats, or are they always in a tincture?
I don't tend to use dried herbs like measured out in there as a supplement. But I do like to use herbs for self-selection in an
Oh.
herb garden where I don't know, are you familiar with herb gardens?
Yeah, like you just, and they're like in little pots and they can just pick whatever they want.
That's one way, but typically what you do is you just get like a towel, maybe a dish towel, bath towel, or whatever, and you have organic dried herbs, and you put a little pinch down in little piles, like a few inches apart, and they self-select what they need. And it could be as simple as they may go sniff it, they may go lay in front of it where they can smell, they might just stretch out on it, they might just blink their eyes, but they're
I
having a
love that.
response to the polyphenols and the elements in the herb that are helping to heal something, whether it could be a physical, whatever. I learned this from Julianne Thorne with Naturally Cats. It's all part of zoopharmacognosy, where animals know what their bodies need. You just have to let them select. And so we can take certain herbs based on situations, whether it's emotional traumas or physical ailments that they have, and just put like a little teaspoon or half a teaspoon of specific things that correspond to benefiting that condition, and just let them self-select. So
That's so much fun. I can't
it's
wait to try
awesome.
that.
It's
Yeah.
so wild to
Can
see
you use like a paper plate, or maybe even like I have an hors d'oeuvre plate, so I could probably just do like a little dandelion, a little milk thistle, a little nettle, and so I carry bulk herbs for the horses. They eat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to use the towel because if they want to sit, if they want to lay on it or sleep on it, and you can kind of spread it out a little bit more. Because cats are all about comfort. They're probably not going to want to go lick it, but some may feel like they need to ingest it to heal whatever it is they're trying to resolve.
I had
So
a cat that would literally, I just hold milk thistle seed powder out and she'd just eat it right out of my hand. Just gobble it.
you know how awesome that is?
I know.
I hate milk thistle. It's the hardest herb to get them to
So
take.
here's my hack for that is I dust it on them and then they have to lick it off.
Oh,
And
nice.
so if you have to use it on them, that's how I use it on them. But most of my animals eat it right out of my hand.
Nice. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I know tinctures can be a little challenging because of the alcohol with the milk thistle. But I've been able to use my energy clearing practice to clear things as stressors. So if they have a stressor to their taste buds, for example, if with the milk thistle, I can do the energy work to clear it. And then the next time they go give that mixed into their food or whatever, they don't have a block to it. They just,
Interesting.
I know it's wild.
That
I've
is
also been able to do that for kibble addicts. So some cats who are so resistant to wet food that drives their parents crazy because they want them to go to, a better quality or whatever, they can't get them off the dry because they have this block to wet. They have this addiction to kibble, which is the sugar.
right.
And so I can clear those as stressors or clear those blocks. And it's like it's like this energy that's been holding them back has been released. And the next time you present that wet food, they're like, and they'll go lick it or they'll go start eating it because they don't view it anymore as something disgusting. It's so interesting.
That's so bizarre and cool. Yeah, so kibble's like white bread for cats. It's like Wonder Bread. It's all gross and squishy and kind of delicious and tangy all at the same time, right?
I know.
Yeasty.
If they
So
didn't have chemicals sprayed on it, our cats wouldn't eat it.
well, and it's funny because I, feeding a barn cat, I've had a lot of stuff outside. And when I finally broke down and bought kibble, I was so fascinated that the ants wouldn't touch it.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
They'd go around it. They wouldn't go on it. They wouldn't
They're
touch
like, They're like, that ain't food.
Yep.
That's not food. We're not eating
I almost videoed it. I was so fascinated that they avoided the kibble. They'd hit the freeze dried or the raw, but
that.
nope, wouldn't come near.
Wow. That reminds me of the studies and the tests that people have done with like the McDonald's Big Mac or the hamburger that they just kind of leave out, and to see how long does it decay, does it go
It
bad?
takes like 30 years to change.
It's like, no, it's still there next year. No, it hadn't changed. It just reminds me of like that.
Twinkies. I think Twinkies are good for like 30 years or something ridiculous. Yeah.
These don't break down. What are they doing to our bodies?
I know, it's true. And microwavable stuff. Especially microwavable stuff in plastic. Like,
Oh, yeah, forget it.
it's just disgusting. And occasionally I'll do it and then just wonder why I did that. I'm like, oh, that super wasn't worth it. Like it was definitely a negative. Anyone else have any questions? Let me know if you're enjoying this. I am. I'm totally enjoying this. I
I'm gonna
think
see if I can get my other little one to come up here. Come here. Can you come say hi? Come say hi. Oh, this is my other little girl. Say hi, everybody. Wow.
oh, she's so cute. How old is she?
She is 7.5.
Oh,
She's about 6 pounds.
she's adorable. She's all girl too.
She's in charge.
She's the diva of all.
She is large and in charge, aren't you?
So how do you build a good mood to get a cat who's not really comfortable in the house to love being in the house? Like if you brought her into the house and you have this other cat, were they like instantly, did you sit there and tell them, here's your new little sister, like, hello, I brought you a present?
Transitioning a new cat into a household that already has a cat, you really have to honor the resident cat first and go at their pace. So most of the time, people would need to separate the new one, have their own space, their own bathroom, bedroom, whatever, with their own food and litter boxes, and let them become accustomed to their space. And let your resident house cat, they're going to know, they know when another cat, a new person, or not a new person, but a new family member is here. So, you just have to I would do the scent swapping, with the sock on both cats, and use that same sock and just scent swap with each of them, because it starts to get them used to each other's scent. Playing under the door between the two cats is also great, because they can't fully see each other, but they know each other's there, and they might see the foot and the paw under the door, but just having them engaged in an activity without having the attention on the cats themselves. They're on a toy, on a string or whatever. And then swapping spaces. So, this is a transition process, swap spaces. So put the new cat and let them roam the house when the other cat is put away, so that they get used to smelling each other's scent in areas. And then do supervised visitations, I've even had some people recommend, depending on the cat, is like putting them in a big carrier or a dog crate in the middle of the living room, where they're closed and they're safe, but they can start to see everything and see the other animals and get used to their presence without feeling threatened. And you can still do the play sessions when they're, all together like that. And then if that's going well, let them share the same space without being in a kennel or a crate or something, and do some playtime. Have them start to eat like apart, but then slowly bring their food bowls, not right on top of each other, but in a same similar area or the same area, so they get used to sharing that space when they eat too. So there's all these different ways that you can slowly introduce those cats, and you always go at the resident house cat's pace. So whoever the most frightened or the most fearful, or the one who's the most resistant, like, not in my house, I am the boss, how dare you come into my space, you go at that cat's pace. So that way that cat feels safe and not threatened. And eventually, hopefully they become really good friends, or at least they can tolerate each other's presence and share the home. Not everybody is there, but will be best friends, and we just have to respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. How often do you detox?
Well, I've started doing it like 3 or 4 times a year. I do it for them now, when I do it for me, like once a quarter.
Yep. I think that's a really good rule of thumb, is as the seasons change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like for like liver, like do the milk thistle for probably about 3 to 4 weeks, twice a day, and then stop, so we're pulsing stuff.
So
Do a chemical cleanse at the same time, so that your liver is supported, and do that once a quarter.
yeah, I was taught that you do milk thistle when the leaves fall off the trees and when the leaves come back on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you just follow the flow of the
season.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I realized, the house that I'm leasing has those laminate floors that look like hardwood, but it's not hardwood. But somehow it's leaching formaldehyde into the space. And I was being affected by formaldehyde with my thyroid. And I thought, so I was doing all this detox for me. And I thought, if it's affecting me and my thyroid, because I walk barefoot all the time, it's affecting my cats. So now when I'm doing my detox and chemical cleanse, I'm giving it to them too, because they don't have socks, and they have 4 feet, not 2. And their bodies are so
and I
small.
really think they suck right up through the feet.
Yeah.
I
And they're,
do
like you said, they're bathing all the time, and they're fastidious groomers. So they are absorbing all those toxins and stuff in our environment that we're not even aware of.
when they sweat through the bottom of their feet. So they suck all of that up, right?
Like, anything can be absorbed through the skin. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Such good information. I could keep you forever. I don't want to, but I don't want to torment you. Lately I'm like, Poppy, stop.
Oh,
Poppy.
I can talk about cats all day. It's all good.
Oh, it's so much fun. I cannot wait to try this with my cat, is put the little herb pellet out and see what she does with it. She might just do nothing with it, but I'm going to photograph it or video it and put it on Instagram.
Yeah, it's really cool, especially like if she seems fearful, if something happened that kind of spooked her, or if she's a real sensitive little soul and she's picking up some of your energy or your horse's energy or something that something's off. Yeah, just play with some of those herbs. I was going to say,
do you do embryonics, phytoembryonics too?
I don't typically, but I have, and they are fascinating.
I'm enrolled in Rita's class, but I haven't attended it because I'm so busy with everything else. I'm like, oh, I need to learn this.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So very cool.
And it's safe for cats, of course.
Completely. Yes.
That's so fun. You guys, this is so exciting. All these new cat things to do.
Who knew?
I know a kitty Kong is coming my cat's way. I can tell you that. Just hopefully my dog won't get in her face. And they rub on each other all the time. They're pretty good friends until it comes to like bedtime. And then she's just like, I got my own bedroom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's she is crazy confident. Like she struts her stuff. She is not a pretty cat at all.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, she's really, I just worry for her out in the wilderness a little bit because I adore her, but I don't, like I said, I don't spend a lot of time with her bonding. So now I felt when I watched your video on YouTube, I was like, oh, I'm such a schmuck. Like I really need to spend a little time with her, not just because it's good to have her not so independent too. If I do need to run her to the vet, it won't be so horrific if I'm like picking her up more often and playing with her and engaging. Yeah.
Yes. Does she like petting? She likes
Yeah.
snuggle. Oh.
Yeah, she won't snuggle, but she'll, she lets me pet her for a little while. It's on her terms always. I can't like go like, oh, I love you. She'll be like,
She'll like that. You know how they are when you pick them up and they're like, not right now, not right now.
So I'm gonna have to spend more time just picking her up and holding her and making her enjoy it. Hopefully, I don't know if there's a making her enjoy it, but maybe.
Reward her just like you would your dogs. Just whenever you do that and you're done, just reward her with a treat. Something
that reward her while I hold her.
You can,
Okay.
Sure. Because then she associates that with something positive.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. And then when you're done, reward her again because it's like, oh, thank you so much. Here's your treat, So then they start to they associate that experience with something very positive that's beneficial for them.
Yeah. I do, I was teaching my dog how to sit and shake, and she actually learned faster than he did. So she does sit and shake.
I love that.
She was just like, you're an idiot. You just do this.
Right.
I'm like,
it's not that
not the cat.
Maybe she's a dog. Maybe she was a dog in a previous life and now she's in a cat suit.
She was a Mexican street cat. I don't know. I think hanging out by the taco trucks made her smart. Pam, thank you for your time. This was really exciting for me. I have new skills, new tools to play with my cat, engage her, create a little more bond, create less stress in stressful conditions.
Yeah.
So I thank you for equipping us with some tools today. That was super fun.
It's my pleasure. I love helping with cat stuff.
And when do you go live on YouTube? If people want to follow you or hire you, how do they do that?
Well, we're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube under Purrrfectly Holistic. And then I'm actually on Twitter also if people are on that platform. But I have a website, it's purrrfectlyholistic.com. And then we have the storefront, which is shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com. And it is catered toward cats, but it has a lot of holistic remedies, supplements, homeopathy, things like that, and cat furniture and merchandise and stuff. We also have amazing services. Some of those I do, and they're more of the health related stuff and mind, body, spirit kind of things. And then I also have animal communicators and Reiki masters and people that do Akashic record readings for pets and past life healings for pets. I mean, we're in the woo-woo world and we love it. But no, they can find me on those platforms, or you can email me at Pam@Purrrfectly Holistic if you have questions, and I'm happy to answer some questions too.
Awesome. So you actually have a whole network.
I have a team of people that work. Yeah, because
that's amazing.
Good the thing is you have to work on what your strength is, and then hire people who do things that you need to do that do them better than you.
Absolutely. I'm always trying to find the best people for the job, and I'm more than happy to farm out because I just want pets well. I don't want to stand in the way of wellness ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I hire these amazing ladies because they're so talented in what they do, and they add so much to the wellness, and just helping cats, dogs, people, on such a beautiful level. It's awesome.
Cool. All right, you guys, thank you for watching, and hopefully it blessed you, and have a wonderful new year. It's almost February.
Isn't it crazy? It's
It's
crazy.
just gonna be hang on, we're going for a ride.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, I got a little hit on your girl cat. Does she love a certain pillow?
She's sleeping in the big cat bed right now.
Is there a red pillow she digs?
No, it's a big old white pillow. It's a it was actually one of those big cat beds. Yeah, I bought it so that multiple cats could sleep in it. But yeah, she likes her special blankets, and she likes the cat beds. So
It's funny. Yeah, when she walked up, I saw like red pillow or something. I was like, what's that about? So ask her what the red pillow thing is, or maybe
Oh,
it's
I will.
something. So,
I will. She has a pink blanket. Maybe that's what.
oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. We'll see.
Yeah,
Let me know.
I will. I will.
Right on. Take care and have a great week, all of
I
you.
will. Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.